Welcome to Mediacom Channel 22, the Columbia College Coaches Show. As we talk soccer, a little recap review. Is that the right word I'm looking for, Coach? I don't know.
Recap of the season.
Recap is all right. Recapping the season. Another trip to the national tournament for your Columbia College Cougars. Congratulations on the return trip back to the national tournament. 12 wins, 6 losses, 3 ties. Another season of double-digit wins for the Columbia College team, and more importantly, another AMC tournament championship. And we'll go back to that point. 3 big wins for you in that tournament at home against Mobap. Then you go to McKendree, big rival with a big 3-0 win at McKendree. And let's talk about that championship match in Park on a cold, real wet, rainy Friday into penalty kicks.
You know, it was a great run, really, the whole conference tournament, and even 2 or 3 games there to end the season. The guys were playing some great soccer. You know, worked our way into the final, had to go up to Kansas City to play Park, scored first in the match, and really hung on and thought we were going to finish that game off. And sure enough, you know, one of their elite goal scorers, Matt Ashman, scored with, you know, I don't know what it was, 52 seconds or something like that.
Not much left, yeah.
And boy, that's devastating when you get scored on that late and you have to rebound and pick yourself back up. But I thought we had a strong overtime performance and just didn't get the goal, and you know, took care of business in penalty kicks.
And the penalty kicks, yeah. And that's the history now with Park since they've rejoined the conference here. It seems like you guys just can't play 90 minutes of soccer. You want to just keep playing. I think almost every single game has been an overtime into the penalty kicks. You go back to last year's senior day was an overtime head ball winner for you guys, and then
and I think it was Jordan Cox in overtime in the conference tournament.
Oh yeah.
And then penalty kicks here. So yeah, I mean, they're a strong team. They just have quality players all over the field. Don't really have a weak link, and it's always going to be a battle. And you know, that's what happens at the end of the season. But it was a great celebration, and certainly this team deserved to win something this year. You know, we let conference get away. We had our opportunity up there, and they got us during the regular season. So so it felt good to you know, to get them on their home field and then get that opportunity to go to the national tournament.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the team really started to gel down the stretch. You had the finish strong in the conference play, and you had the 2 Division II schools that you kind of finished with there, and then they were really playing well. And like you said, you had to go on a 3-game winning streak to get that berth to the national tournament, and you managed to pull that off, and went down and played a game in Tennessee against Bryan, and again another match where you end up scoring first and it ends up being tied later, and then you go to overtime and a tough loss in the second overtime.
Yeah, disappointing. You know, we've had a run there where I don't know that we lost in overtime in quite a while, and you know, you get yourself first of all, we scored first, and that felt good, and we didn't have Dylan in the game. I remember looking at Dylan and saying, "You're not going in now." He'd had a yellow card earlier in the game. You know, we'll see. There were about 30 minutes left in the game. Well, it was only a minute or 2 later. The referee gave them a penalty kick, and it was 1-1. And then the battle was on again, very similar to the Park scenario. Both teams were fighting for their lives in that match, and there just weren't really a whole lot of good scoring opportunities in that game. You know, we made it to the second overtime, and I think both teams are probably feeling like, you know, let's just get the penalty kicks and let's not give it up here. But they were very aggressive in their corner kicks and their set plays, and they scored a legitimate goal off of a corner kick, and it took about 25 seconds to develop, but they found a boy right in front of. We had pushed out most of our players. One or two of our players hadn't pushed out to keep, you know, to put this guy in an offside position. Ball wound up on his foot. Kenny came out and got a hand on it, but it was over, hit the net, and that was the end of the season.
Tough one on that point. Obviously, with your team, with the run they had, obviously they were disappointed they didn't get to advance from there. But still, like you said, going on that run at the end and winning those games to win the conference tournament championship, as you see the trophy here for the AMC tournament championship, still had to be a pretty proud moment and a good moment for you to take now to this next group for next year.
Yeah, I mean,
hungry for that conference regular season.
The group is very similar. You know, we only lose 4 players, 2 starters. Certainly, Ken in goal will be difficult to replace. Matt, you know, got to back him up this year and had a couple good Matt McKenna had a couple nice games in goal, but didn't get a lot of time. That'll be a position that you know, Matt's going to have to step up, and we need to find somebody that can compete with Matt for that position. And then a left back in Ryan Goldcamp. Those are the two starting players. You know, I feel like we've got a great core, great nucleus. You know, Big Edgar scored 12 goals this year. Dylan he might have had 10. Hutchison had a great start to the season. He scored 8. But I think we need to find another 2 or 3 guys that can be dynamic in the attack. And you know, in the back, I feel pretty comfortable. We had a nice group back there. And but I think we need to find you know, 1 or 2, as Bob, you know, Coach Burchard says, separation players, guys that are going to put us over the top.
We'll talk a little bit about the recruiting process and also a little more looking back to this past season, celebrate a couple of the players that have been honored with some different accolades here since the end of the soccer season. We'll come back after this. So you're watching the Columbia College Coaches Show, Mediacom Channel 22.